Every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello, thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape. Tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari says the federal government will welcome support from the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, for its ongoing efforts to rehabilitate parts of the country affected by the Boko Haram insurgency. Speaking at a meeting in Mecca with the Secretary General of the OIC, Yadamin Madani, President Buhari urged the organization to send a fact-finding mission to the ravaged state of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa state to see the damage done by the terrorists. President Buhari further told Madani that the fact-finding visit will help the OIC determine the scope of assistance it can to offer Nigeria for the rehabilitation and resettlement of internally displaced persons. He also challenged OIC to act urgently in support of the restoration of peace, law and order to Libya, which he says is the breeding ground for terrorists causing mayhem in West and Central African countries since the fatal of Gaddafi's regime. And our suggestion that henceforth the national and state budget should be subjected to public scrutiny is being canvassed by some members of the Red Chamber as they consider the report on the Committee on Diaspora and Non-Governmental Organization. Reports sent from the resolution adopted at the interactive section with the civil society organization on the 2016 budget. Our correspondent, Jamila Fegbo, has more.
Despite being in the public domain, the general public does not make any meaningful input into the preparations of the national and state budgets. This, many times, does not reflect the desire of the people, and so projects that should ordinarily have benefited them often suffer. But all that may be changing as the Senate is considering full public involvement in the subsequent budget preparations. This is one of the recommendations of the committee, which is presenting its report on its interactive section with civil society organizations on the 2016 budget.
Over 100 civil society organizations attended this interactive session. They made constructive contributions in respect of the 2016 budget in different MDAs. At the end of the day, we entered into resolutions.
In 2008, I attended a UN seminar in New York over budget processes. And the Nigerian budget process was rated very low, the reason being that we've consistently failed to subject our budget process to public hearing.
The issue of constituency project is still being grossly misunderstood, as many are of the opinion that monies are given to the legislators. Some members are, however, seeking to know whether or not the committee made the CSO learn the truth.
Somebody tried to explain what the constituency projects are all about, and then the civil society people, in our own words, appear to have understood what constituency projects were all about, and they didn't understand before.
If formally adopted, this will be a new trend in future budgetary preparations for the country.
New development, our democracy is all the time evolving, and I think that we're moving more towards a more transparent and openness. And also, as we observe, the budget is not only just for us in Parliament, it also gives an opportunity for the general public, and that is why it's important on the executive part that these budgets come early enough.
All the recommendations but two are being adopted by the Senate. 6 bills are also being presented for second reading, while 3 others are being considered. Jamila Fegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now Nigerians will again have to pay for safety on the highways if the House of Representatives cannot stop the intention of the Federal Road Safety Corps from forcing them to buy the speed-braking device being proposed. A motion moved by member Philip Shuaibu is calling on the House to resist any move by the Corps to carry out its plan. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene reports.
Lawmakers have been vehemently rejecting calls by the Federal Road Safety Corps to once again subject Nigerians to another fruitless and wasteful exercise as they took turns to lambaste the Corps for what they see as insensitive. Honorable Philip Shaibu, while raising the motion on the floor of the House, condemned in its strongest term the folly in introducing such an outdated system in the face of a more modern and cost-effective design.
They are concerned that the speed limiters device has been experimented and abandoned in some African countries.
Other lawmakers are also condemning this move, arguing that Nigeria is not a dumping ground for obsolete technology that tends to find its way into the country with connivance of some unscrupulous Nigerian businessmen.
And this very policy that the road safety wants to introduce, by the time you calculate the number of vehicles on our roads, it will amount to almost ₦1 trillion. And this money is going to the pocket of some companies that are outdated, because this same system has been tried in Kenya, and it is an outdated system. It is not used anywhere in the world.
Road safety has taken its marketing activities too far. At this time of our economy, wanting the ordinary Nigeria to go cough out 36,000 naira for installation of a gadget that is going to be imported, sold, marketed, installed by road safety, it's abnormal. Mr. Speaker, I think that road safety...
They are suggesting that the Federal Road Safety leadership be invited to the House as a matter of urgency for further explanation on the matter. Meanwhile, 2 new members from Adama have been sworn in by the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
So help me God.
Meanwhile, some Nigerian drivers will have to do their due diligence before obtaining driver license, thereby endangering other motorists and road users, which have been handed a warning. In a chat with CoreTV News, Head of Operations at the Federal Road Safety Corps Lagos Command, Olakpade Olusegun, stressed the importance of attending a certified driving school and the right procedures in getting a driver license. Our correspondent Victoria Solomon finds in this report from our studios. All right, we'll bring you the report in our subsequent bulletins. That the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Olisa Metu, who is standing trial on money laundering charges preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, is to know his fate on March 9. Justice Okona Bang of the Federal High Court in Abuja is facing the date to write a rule or deliver judgment on a no-case submission filed by Chief Metu. Our correspondent Basilo Catho has details in this report from our studio.
By a no-case submission, Metu is seeking to be discharged and acquitted on the grounds that the evidence provided by the prosecution after concluding its case failed to link him to the charges preferred against him. After counsels to both parties adopted their written briefs of argument for and against the application, the judge adjourned to either acquit the defendant of the charges or allow the case to continue.
They filed a no-case submission, arguing before the court that the evidence placed by the prosecution in proof of their case does not warrant them to open their defense or to enter into their defense. On the other hand, we contended and argued before the court that we called 8 witnesses who gave oral evidence. We tendered gamuts of documents, which were all admitted in evidence as exhibits.
And from that their reply, we also saw loopholes on points of law, which we also filed and served them. The judge has adjourned to the 9th of March for 2 things. He said, if he upholds our no-case submission, it means that Chief Olisa Metu will be discharged and acquitted.
Justice Abang ruled that after going through the written addresses and discovers that the case lacks merit, the matter will be dismissed. But if not, Metu will open his defense and that the hearing will be on a day-to-day basis. Metu and his company, Destra Investment Limited, are being prosecuted by the EFCC on a 7-count charge bordering on alleged fraudulent receipt of 400 million naira from the Office of the National Security Advisor in 2014.
And now the Independent National Election Commission has released date for the conduct of governorship election in both Edo and Edo State. The commission revealed that while governorship election will hold on September 10 in Edo State, Ondo would take a turn on November 26, 2016. INEC's Deputy Director in charge of voter education and publicity, Nick Dezang, made the news public today. We'll continue on our coverage on court matter now. An Abuja High Court has fixed 1st of March to rule on an application filed by the former President Goodluck Jonathan's ADC, Ojogbane Adegbe, challenging his detention by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Justice Yusuf Haliu fixed a date after counsels to both parties presented their briefs of argument on the matter. Here again is Basil Okafor's report from our studios.
The aide-de-camp to the former president, Colonel Ojogbane Adegbe, is demanding 100 million naira damages from the EFCC for unlawful detention. Adegbe, through his lawyers, Obu Noja, is asking the court to declare that his detention by the EFCC since February 11 is unconstitutional and is violating his rights to personal liberty guaranteed by the 1999 Constitution. But EFCC lawyer Mosu Benda is urging the court to dismiss the application for lack of merit. She's further arguing that the applicant was detained at the instance of the military authorities.
The surprising thing that they filed a counter saying that Colonel Ojogbane Adegbe is being detained at the pleasure of the Nigerian Army. That's the counter they filed. And that is contrary to all the investigation that went on at the EFCC, the interviews and interrogation. The understanding we had was the EFCC invited Adegbe and they got in touch with the Nigerian Army to release him. So he was brought from abroad at the instance of EFCC. But today in court we are being told that Nigerian Army are the one detaining Colonel Adegbe, that EFCC has nothing to do with it. That's what we had today in court. And we had to file a a further affidavit to deny that. So the matter is now adjourned to Tuesday for ruling on the enforcement of fundamental human rights.
Onoja is also urging the court to make an order directing EFCC to immediately release his client from unlawful detention. Justice Halilu adjourned the case to March 1st for ruling after listening to the counsels in this suit.
As the UN African Regional Conference on Urbanization, known as the Habitat 3, continues, Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the continent must address policy narratives as a force of development in aligning with the UN agenda of a new urbanization initiative. He says agro-processing and telecom penetration will help in making these a reality. Our correspondent Kazim Kasali has details. We'll bring you that report in a subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, African countries desiring development are being told to make city the fulcrum of development activities. Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Habitat 3 Conference, Kumrej Misra, says African countries, including Nigeria, should be focusing on making cities sustainable and habitable. You're still watching CoreTV News at prime time. We'll take a break shortly. We'll be back with more stories after this timeout. Stay with us.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the federal government of Nigeria.
Is it crazy or autocracy? Or what type of crazy is that? Except crazy.
News making the headlines.
Black Maria is to carry criminals, treasure looters,
that are in government today.
Sometimes it gets confrontational.
Slap you in the face. Excuse me, don't put words into my mouth. Whatever it is that will bring our military to disrepute, I say to hell with it.
Core Digest.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
Every weekday, we bring all of these together and take them to the court of public opinion.
Everybody have the right in Nigeria.
Where you are the judge.
If you just join us, this is CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studios. For more information, you can reach us on our social media platforms. It's facebook.com/CoreTV News. You can also follow at CoreTV News NG. For other programs now, log on to youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. Thank you for being there. An explosion occurred at the Jimeta Divisional Police Headquarters in Yola, the Adamawa State capital, which injured over 40 people at the scene of the incident, with an unconfirmed figure of persons dead. The blast, which happened at about 11:44 a.m. this morning, caused serious panic around the area, especially at the Central Primary School situated directly opposite the police station, where pupils were attending classes. An eyewitness, Haruna Furo, who spoke with CoreTV News, says relevant rescue agents came to the scene promptly to provide the needed assistance.
We had 44 people that were taken for treatment at the specialist hospital, and out of that number, 10 are on admission, and then the remaining 34 have been treated and discharged.
Wow. And so
but we've always maintained that in certain situations like this, you find people rushing home thinking that some of the injuries might be minor, but at a later time, the number might change. But so far, this is the number we have. Yeah, you know, it's something to do with a bomb, and it was from, it's not of the use we used to that it's a bomb or suicide bomber. But this is an accidental situation within a police station and armory. So you find that the response has been very, very prompt. People were there, but we had to step back a little to hold on that there were some other remnants there that could likely explode. Definitely the police highest ranking officers within the state came down. The chief executive of the state came down, and almost everybody became a beehive of government officials. So there was that serious concern, you know, and people had to come in. His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, who promptly came on behalf of the governor, had to debunk the fact that, you know, there was this rumor going on that it happened in a school. But thank God it was not within a school. You know, if it was in school, the casualty, the speculation would have been higher.
Okay.
It's not that the situation was not high. The incidence has not been high, because anything that affects the life of a Nigerian, a human being, has to be accounted for, and you have to feel sorry for it.
And now the need for cooperation between law enforcement agents and communities is again being emphasized. Assistant Inspector General Police for Zone 3 is calling on communities in Taraba State to partner with the police to combat crimes in their domain. Our correspondent, Udwak Godwin, brings us more.
Visiting the command as part of his schedule for the day, Governor Darius Ishaku says there needs to be a way of reviewing approaches to curbing crime in the state, commending the police for their efforts at keeping the state free of insurgency. Says the police should also be looking into the increasing rate of cattle rustling, communal clashes, kidnapping, among others.
After the thank you, draw your attention to the problems we have in the state. They are multifaceted. The first one we are battling with now is invasion. Invasion of the state by other Nigerians who are, in quotes, coming to settle. in Taraba State. I would have thought a right-thinking person should go to settle in a peaceful environment. But here we are in an environment that is battle-ridden, and people are ready to move in to settle in Taraba, which is not, to my mind, a settled place yet.
The police is also expressing optimism that it will continue fighting crime and bringing peace to the state.
With the command, the officers and men of the command, and yourselves, sir, as the Chief Security Officer of the state, to see how do we bring about the normal peace for development. Without peace, there will be no development. Without development, there will be no peace. It's necessary, Your Excellency, that we put our head together to see that we bring all the warring parties in our state so that we have peaceful coexistence.
The Emir of Muri, who is suggesting that the police seek recommendations from the traditional rulers before recruiting people to avoid bringing unscrupulous elements into the force.
Help him with that. He is asking us to give him security, but you all know security is not given. Security is earned. Those of us in charge of security, I include myself, the police being the lead, we must all act correctly so that people who look at us expect nothing but justice from us. And justice from police, justice from the army, justice from the governors, justice from the emirs, total to make up the moral standing of the police, the dignity of the police, and the chance of success for the police.
Taraba has had no cases of insurgent attacks, but is home to thousands of internally displaced persons fleeing from Adamawa and some neighboring states affected by the attacks. Udwa Godwin, CoreTV News, Jalingo.
And now, Ekiti state government has sealed off two notable eateries in Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, for non-compliance with environmental laws. The government is also taking steps to ensure that waterways and drainages in the state are free of dirt and other obstructions that might block free flow of wastewater as the rainy season approaches. Governor Ayodele Fauci announced this when he paid an unscheduled visit to some areas in the state capital, where he ordered the immediate demolition of some houses. And now, in a bid to create awareness and ensure that Nigeria, as a policy-structured country, shuns domestic violence, Inclusive Women International, a non-governmental organization, is challenging victims to speak up about incidents. They said information sharing will help the authorities in addressing issues surrounding assault in homes. Our correspondent Sarah Yeko tells us more.
Love yourself first, then you would be able to present yourself in a way that other people would love you.
More voices have continued to rise against domestic violence as Inclusive Women International Group joins other non-governmental organizations around the world to stand to end the silence and unmask any form of brutality in the home.
I will use this opportunity to plead with the state government, especially with the NGOs as well, that we should please come together. They should support us. We need this help. We need to create this. We are coming from the UK. We got the skills and we know we can deliver it. But what we need is the support of the National Assembly to pick up this with us, support us in terms of the groundwork.
Interestingly, women and children are not the only victims of this barbaric act.
There has always been men, beating their wives, and yes, I'm happy that this kind of program is coming even from an organization, women organization. It is important to checkmate all the gender. We should rather preach culture of respect as Africans.
While advocating for enforcement of laws against domestic violence, Nigerians are encouraged not to die in silence.
The issue is there's a culture of silence. People don't want to report, people don't want to rock the boat because they feel that if I go and tell the police that
suffering, I'm a victim of domestic violence. It may destabilize my home. Yes, courts are time consuming. There's no way you can go about that because of the system we have in place. The courts are congested with so many cases.
By every form of advocacy, awareness is being created to achieve one thing: send the signal that domestic violence is a must to be stamped out in Nigeria. Sarah Ayeku, CoreTV News, Lagos.
In the meantime, nurses in Lagos State are calling for better recognition and a reputable civil service ranking from the government. A communique at the end of the 8th annual Nurses Conference held in Lagos hinged on issues relating to remuneration, support and promotion. Our correspondent Akio Bakaya tells us more.
In another 2 years after your confirmation, you will automatically move to level 9.
One of the largest gathering of trained nurses in Lagos State comes to an end as nurses from different health institutions in the state gather to map out ways to tackle challenges confronting them. Nurses in attendance were issued certificates as Olurotimi Awojide, the chairman of the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, speaks on the welfare packages.
We are asking the Lagos State government, number one, to look at the welfare packages for nurses. Like we have the head of nursing administration from various hospitals here. Some of them are involved in so many activities and they don't have an official vehicle. We are asking the government to provide official vehicle for them so that they can perform optimally. Also, we are asking the government to look into promotion issue at the primary healthcare board level.
On the demand of the profession, one of the participants speaks.
Nursing is a calling, and anybody coming into nursing must see it as a calling. And when you say something is a calling, it's something you have passion for. It's something you do with all your skill and energy, regardless of the challenges that are there. There is no job, there is no endeavor you go into that doesn't have its own challenges. But then in nursing, I think it's a bit different, especially in health, because we are dealing with lives.
Every profession evolves and advances its course, so is nursing.
The new developments in the ICT, technology, nursing is not backward too. The training has been modified and has been a scientifically based training. We use all these modern technologies too in the course of training the student nurses.
It is believed that the quest for better service delivery by these health workers will be given the needed support. Akinyobake, CoreTV News, Lagos.
And out of some business stories now. Banking transactions in Nigeria no doubt comes with its ups and downs. Since the introduction of stamp duty by the Central Bank of Nigeria, bank customers, which says it's to explore alternative avenues for revamping the economy, some Nigerians have been uncomfortable. Now many are calling for a one-day protest against banks to push home their point. Our correspondent Bukola Afeni reports. Moving away from there now, there has been a rapid rise in the agitation for a downward review of the recent increment in the electricity tariff in Nigeria. On our flagship program, Call Digest, while reacting to the call by the TUC and other concerns body on the reduction of the tariff, these analysts have mixed opinions.
The increase in electricity tariff has been generating reactions from Nigerians. On our flagship program, Call Digest, analysts say increment is illegal as due process has not been followed.
The NERC has no power, and I repeat and I stand corrected. Go and check NERC Act 2007, Section 31, subsection 1, paragraph A, B, C, E, D. Stipulate the powers of NERC to review tariff. None of it include for them to unilaterally rather remove or reduce the issue of fixed charges.
While reacting to the issue, Nelson Ekujumi opines that the decision of the Senate on the distribution company to revert to the normal tariff is unjustified.
You will see that a lot of people are metered
And even when they are metered, they still bypass the meters, so that they shortchange the system. These are areas that one feels the distribution companies, the discos, should engage the general public so that this crisis can be, nipped in the bud once and for all, and we all can, go back to our various businesses, to our various homes, happy that, look, we have gotten a resolution to this crisis, then we can move forward.
Callers also have this to say.
In Calabar, we pay for reinstallment of transformers. Meanwhile, we pay for tax and tariff and blah, 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 blah. We spend money for their own maintenance, which they should be doing for us. And what is the tariff all about if they can't even replace our transformers when we are paying for value-added tax? It's so painful and annoying. Every day we sit on the television and talk. Meanwhile, there is no resolution. There is no result.
To increase our tariff is not our problem. It's for us to get the light. All what they are saying in the system is politics. If we can have light completely in a day, Nigerians is ready to pay their bill. And you give a fixed rate and you don't say right, and at the month end you get bill. How do you justify this to the Nigerians? Is it the change we are talking? Everybody are talking politics in the system that is not governing well for this country. They should change as we are trying to change. I don't like people standing on the system, on the television and talk what is not relevant for Nigerians. They should change and give us the light, and we are ready to pay the tariff.
It is the expectation of Nigerians that the appropriate authorities will do all in its best to adopt policies that will be favorable to Nigerians.
And in the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari says he's welcoming an offer by the Islamic Development Bank, IDB, to organize a financing roundtable in Abuja to mobilize more funds for investment and development of infrastructure in Nigeria. The president of IDB, Ahmed Mohamed Ali, made the offer at a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, who is currently on an official visit to Saudi Arabia. Ali assured President Buhari that the IDB will work with the traditional partners such as Saudi Fund, the Kuwait Fund, Arab Bank for Development in Africa, and the Abu Dhabi Fund to increase the quantum of funding available to Nigeria. Welcoming the offer, President Buhari restated his government's determination to revamp and diversify the Nigerian economy rapidly. The IDB has already provided $98 million for the bilingual education program in Adamawa, Gombe, Kaduna, Kano, Kwara, Nasarawa, Niger, Osun, Yobe, and the bank plans to support similar projects in other states of Nigeria. Meanwhile, wife of the president, Mrs. Aisha Mohammed Buhari, has unveiled a new vessel of the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Company built to join in the fleet of the organization. While performing ceremony in Seoul, South Korea on Thursday, Mrs. Buhari said the acquisition of the new vessel named LNG Abuja 2 was an additional impetus to growth of export-related businesses that will improve revenue generation for Nigeria. According to a statement by her media director, Nadabo ZY, the relationship of the two countries was quite in line with the goals of the present administration of furthering the development of human capital and job creation. Mrs. Buhari expressed confidence that despite challenges in global energy sector, Nigeria and South Korea will continue to occupy important positions with respect to international energy security and development. And our human rights lawyer, Femi Falana, has filed a suit before the Federal High Court in Abuja on praying for an order restraining the Central Bank of Nigeria from allowing market forces to determine the exchange rate of the naira. The senior advocate also asked the court in his suit to direct the CBN to stop the use of the United States of America's dollar as a legal tender in Nigeria. The suit was filed on behalf of Falana by a lawyer and his friend, Wisdom Elum. A further report said the suit, which is yet to be assigned to a judge, has the CBN as the sole defendant. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We take another break now. We'll be back shortly with stories outside Nigeria and sports. Join us again.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter
click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Are you aware that the death percentage attributed to Lassa fever cases is currently put at 43.2%, a figure considered very high? Lassa fever, an acute viral illness characterized by high fever, muscle aches, mouth ulcers and bleeding in the skin, is harbored by rats and spread to humans via the urine and droppings of rats. To prevent Lassa fever, avoid any exposure with rodents, rats, as well as food and objects contaminated with rat secretions and excretions. Report all suspected cases of Lassa fever immediately to the nearest healthcare institution. Help prevent Lassa fever. This message is from the Federal Government of Nigeria.
And outside Nigeria now, at least 9 people have been killed in a double-tap bombing at the Shia Mosque in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad. The explosion was carried out by 2 assailants. The first assailant detonated his vest inside the mosque and the second blew himself up when security forces gathered at the site. The attack was carried out in Shula neighborhood. And now killings and torture are being committed with impunity on all sides in Libya. Reports say human rights violations carried out by armed groups battling for control of the country could amount to war crimes. Victims of abuses including detainees, journalists and human rights activists, while scores of people have been tortured and killed. And now Greece has recalled its ambassador to Austria amid sharp divisions among EU states over the migrant crisis. The action came after Austria hosted a meeting with Balkan states on the migrant issues, to which Greece was not invited. Meanwhile, EU and Balkan interior ministers have met in Brussels to try to heal rift over the migrant issue, with the EU's Migration Commissioner warning that the bloc's migration system could be days away from complete breakdown. And our Syria's main opposition bloc says it will support a temporary 2-week truce to tax the seriousness of other sides' commitment to a US-Russia plan to end fighting. Earlier this week, the US and Russia agreed on a cessation of hostilities between the Syrian government and groups fighting it in a deal that excludes the Islamic State of Iraq, the Levant, and the al-Nusra front. The agreement calls on all sides to sign up to the deal by mid-year on February 26 and to stop fighting by midnight. All right, let's take a look at some sports stories now.
Power style, and that's what he delivered.
And now Leicester City manager Claudio Ranieri says he wants to see an aggressive response from his players against Norwich City at the weekend after the leaders lost to Arsenal following a last-gasp goal in the previous Premier League outing. City were beaten 2-1 by title rivals Arsenal at the Emirates on February 14, thanks to a stoppage time effort from England striker Danny Welbeck, and Ranieri is demanding more focus from his team when they host fourth from bottom Norwich. Ranieri is further opined that Leicester's chances of winning the top flight title for the first time in their history is hinged on their next 5 futures. And now Novak Djokovic was forced to retire from his Dubai Tennis Championship quarterfinal against Feliciano Lopez. The world number 1 appeared to be suffering from an eye problem and quit after losing the first set 6-3 a day on from his 700th career win. Djokovic's run of making 17 successive tour finals came to an end after making 18 on false errors in only 9 games against the 6th seed. And now England's all-time record goal scorer Kelly Smith has signed a new contract with Arsenal ladies. The 37-year-old forward, who retired from international football in 2015 is in her third spell with the Women's Super League One club. Smith will combine playing with assisting Ghana's manager Pedro Martinez Losa on the touchline. And now, finally, with sports now, European champions Barcelona have renewed their collaboration with the children's charity UNICEF till 2020. The period will see the charlatan giant donate €2 million a year to promote child education. Until now, Barcelona donated about £1.5 million yearly in their collaboration with UNICEF. The agreement between the club and UNICEF began in 2006 when Barca broke the tradition of not wearing a logo on their shirts just to display UNICEF logo and name. Well, all right, that's been a show tonight on CoreTV Primetime News. Many thanks for watching. I am Frank Omalape. Have a good night rest.